Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I just wanted to show off that I actually have my credentials today to talk about reading goals. This is my book nerd lapel pin to make it extra nerdy. I don't know. I just found this recently and don't wear pins that often, so I thought I'd flaunt it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Margaret Pinard. I'm a historical fiction and fantasy author, and you're on my channel, which means you're on Booktube. We talk about books here, books that we read, books that we write, and what we think of them. And today's stream is actually going to be a bit of a meta type of stream because it is near the end of the year. So I got out my report card and I'm going to be reporting out to you how well I did on my reading goals. Specifically, not readathons, not pages, not research, whatever. Specifically, my diverse reading goals. If you, hey, yeah, wires, you've seen them before. Please don't mess with them. Come on. He's right here. He's right by the keyboard and wants to participate. Hi, Bean. He's perched on the side of the couch. Okay, I'm not gonna let him hijack the stream. No, we've got business to do. Report card for diverse reading goals. So a long time ago, maybe 3 years ago, I stole my friend Melissa's goals tracker. Let me pop it up here. It's in an overlay. Melissa's channel name is Fully Booked. She's got a great channel if you want to check her out. I think she's doing Booktube prize and Booktube spin stuff at the moment. But she had the spreadsheet. So I borrowed the spreadsheet because that's not my forte and replaced it with goals that I had chosen. And there's 7. Yeah, there's still 7. Okay, good. I thought I was at 6 for some reason. But anyway, so yeah, so I have these 7 goals each month that I try to get that width or breadth of reading into every month because I figure that's enough time, enough variety. I read enough that I could probably fit all of those goals in. So it's Judgment Day, or it's report card time, and I'm gonna, I don't know, share with you how I did. So I don't know if this is important to other people that read out there. Here's the question for today. What are your priorities in choosing which book to read next? Notice I said not choosing a book to buy because I think it's always prospective of enjoyment for buying a book. But when you have a bunch of books, you have a bunch of library books, you have a bunch of audiobooks, and you're going, what do I read next? Do you try something different? Do you try exactly what you just finished? What are your priorities in choosing which book to read next? So chew on that and give me an answer in the chat. And now I get to say hello to everyone in the chat. Mama Maggie was here. I got to say hello to Maggie last night on karaoke. She sang a couple lovely songs as well as Carol's a cappella. Very, very impressive. We've got the Writing Sisters smashing the like button. Thank you. And Shannon made friends with the like button. I like all the different approaches. AF Stewart is here saying hello. Just Eva is here saying hey. Flaunt it, right? Flaunt it. Yes. Time at Last Book Reviews. Hello. Welcome to the channel. We've got some Bean fans. Bean only fans. Look at this. He's being so good now. He's part of the show. He wants a paycheck. Don't you, buddy. Okay. Again, not letting him hijack the stream. Yes, Bean fans, Bean stream, kitty sighting. And if Maggie was still here, she would say, all hail our feline overlords for sure. Yes. All right, so I like the idea of having a goal tracker. Yep. Deidre writes romance. Hey, dropping in to say hey and smashing the like button. Catpaw Rosales. Hello. Catpaw, I talked with Sam, and she said she was thinking about applying. And then this was the sign that I contacted her that she would apply. So fingers crossed for the AWC application. Okay, we've got some answers in here. Shannon says, I'm a mood reader in most cases. So depending on the day, depending on the hour, depending on the last interaction with a human that you had, totally fair. Nia, Vixen of Fiction, is here. Maggie says, I was drunk singing. He's beautiful drunk singing. Very impressive. And Shannon's pointing out, we already mentioned the AWC. The AuthorTube Writing Conference has 6 days left of time to submit your application. So we've got links in the chat. We'd love to hear from people who want to be part of the conference and deliver a topic on writing or publishing. So click for more. The Writing Sister says, a mood reader too, but getting more into audiobooks. You can mood read audiobooks. There's no rule against that. Maggie says, I got my 52 books read and DNF'd 20 books. You know, I looked up my DNF on Storygraph and it said 28. And I was like, 28? How did I DNF 28 books this year? And then I realized that was all books ever DNF'd because it didn't change the little setting to this year. And I was like, oh, whew. Scared me for a second. There we go. Feline Overlords. Yes. And Leslie is here from Bookskers and Purrs. See, Bean's got his own channel here. Yeah. He should have. Oh, Melissa is here. I'm featuring, flaunting, showing off your goals tracker and reporting out about how I did as soon as I get through the chat. Yeah, Beans hijacked this stream twice in 5 minutes. Coming in to say hi. Oh, Blind Sisters is dusting. Gosh, that sounds like fun for a Sunday. Time at last, mood reader here, but never read the same genre twice in a row. I feel like that's a pretty safe bet, like switching it up and getting a variety. Yeah. And I'll come back to that when I talk about why I do what I do. Josiva says, this month my choices are mixed the indie books I bought this year, middle grade I already own, and very old books. Nice. AF Stewart says, I'm a genre mood reader, meaning you mood read in different genres, or you pick your genre based on the mood. I'm not clear on that. I think that's ambiguous. Yeah. Josiva says, I only started tracking my reads this month. Add me on Storygraph. Oh, yay. Okay. I think some of my streams, but not most, have my Storygraph handle, but I think it's just Margaret Bernard. So find me there. Maggie says, the year of Hold My Tea and migraines sunk my goals, but that's okay. I can write more and visit places later. Melissa says, used to be a TBR planned reader as of the last year or so, more so a mood reader. I like this. People are loosening up on Booktube. I like it. Blind Sisters listen to audiobooks and ebooks. I like to read 3 or 4 at a time. Yeah, that's not even in the purview of this report card, but that is controversial, Nicole. Shanna says, I've been reading sci-fi romance recently, but last night was not feeling it. Stopped halfway through a book to read a contemporary Christmas romance. See, Christmas romance. That's where it's at. That's going to be my next Wednesday wrap-up. Anita clarifying, I mood read by genre, as in the mood for fantasy, in the mood for true crime, etc. Okay, that makes definite sense to me. I need to try reading different genres, always stuck to fantasy and paranormal romance. This is why Bean's not usually near a computer, because he makes me sneeze. And Josiva says, found and followed, friend requested. Okay, cool. So we'll get back to that. Feel free to drop your answer in the comments, but I'm going to just do my little intro here about diverse reading goals per month. So why do I try to... I did bring my Kleenex. Read a diverse type of book. So what are the metrics, first of all, and why bother? So I'll do the why bother first. I think that if you are a reader, which is a big if because it's a minority in the US at least, and you have the habit of reading, you have a lot available to you, right? And I think that sometimes we have blinders and may just go through what we like and the same and the same and the same, and not realize that there's a whole bunch more world out there for us to enjoy. So I will sample things um, and see if I enjoy something that I don't know about. It's kind of like my philosophy of travel. Although I do return to the same places over and over, just like I return to the same genres over and over because I really like them. Um, so it's a balance, right? Between needing something comforting, familiar, and fulfilling that you know you can rely on versus trying something new, expanding your palette, and um, learning more about the world. I value both those things, so I sort of toggle back and forth. And what are my metrics? So, what are the things that I consider important? My 7 goals here. So, let me pop Melissa's um, tracker back up and I can talk about this. So, oh, wait, there we go. Okay, you lean this way. Um, so research book, and they're also reproduced here on my notebook that I like went and tracked. So the research book means that as a writer, I need to be inputting things that are going to help me develop stories. So just like if you have, in the language of relationships, a love bank that you need to deposit into if you want to get love out, you need to have a sort of input source of, for me, historical details as a historical fiction author, to give you enough grist for the mill for some of those moments to pop out and inspire me to think about a story seed, right? So this year, the Irish Readathon in March turned out to be really good for that. I continued it for Camp Nano in April, took a little break, came back and started like remixing stuff, but research books is an important priority for me for reading. Then I've got format diversity, which is ebooks. I'm not an ebook super fan. Ah! Ah! Oh, sorry if that was high decibels. He has never done that while I have been awake. He just went up on the kitchen counter and he's definitely not allowed. I put up like things on the counter every night when I go to sleep now because he shouldn't be up there. And anyway. Yeah. Sidetracked. Format diversity. Ebooks, audiobooks, and print. So print is my default. So most of my books, like the 1,000 books that I have in my apartment, are paperbacks, hardcovers, used, and many different topics. So that's my default. That's my default on Storygraph is the print format. But I've tried to put this as a reminder for myself to read an ebook a month because that is usually a different type of book. Usually it's Kindle, it's Kobo, it's ARCs, it's he's being such a rascal right now. I'm sorry. He is hijacking the stream. And so that's why ebooks are in the mix, and we'll see how I did on that one. And then audiobooks, I realized that audiobooks are one of the fastest growing segments in the publishing industry. And of course, they're dominated by the monopoly, but Libro FM does a really great job of bringing the same exact books to people without the restrictions that Amazon puts on you. So I'm an affiliate, but anyone can be an affiliate. I am a bookseller for Libro.fm, which means that I have access to certain books like ARCs. And so I try to listen. And now that I'm working for an audiobook review magazine, like I can bring some of that experience into play and get to know more about narrators and the business and the industry, and it's very exciting. So I do love my Libro.fm audiobooks. So that's format diversity. Let me check in with the chat in case I just caused a huge brouhaha by yelling at the cat. See, I don't canceled. I'm gonna be canceled by, cat cruelty people. Let's see. I think Ava's is the last one. Cat Paw says, "I mood read too, in the mood for sci-fi or whatever." Shannon says, "Priorities start with what's in my current writing genre, then adjacent genres. Also, anything writing, publishing, marketing related, last anything I've committed to with others." That's a lot of priorities, but that's very succinct. That's good to know your system. Maggie says, "I'm a genre slut reader. Woohoo! Apocalyptic dystopia to cowboy romance to supernatural cozies to mysteries to sci-fi fantasies." I think you and Anita would like get along with each other's reading lists for sure. I think 'cause she writes all that too. Cat Paw says, "I've added so many books to my TBR listening to your reviews." Oh, that's so nice to hear. But there's no library here, and I'm very low income, and to read something, I have to buy it. No library, and you have to buy. Oh, that is a hard combination, those 3 things. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. There's ways you can, work with that and work around that, but that is hard. It says, "My reading priority is to lessen my TBR. Not working well as I keep buying more than I read." Bean. Back bean. Yes. I learned this recently watching a oh, she's telling me to hiss. Oh, that would be lovely on camera. Watching a documentary with cat researchers. They say kitties learn hisses from mom mean business and they listen more. Excuse me. Um, he was like 8 feet away. I don't know if a hiss would have gotten him off as quickly. Or make that sound when you like hit your funny elbow. That's close to one of the hiss sounds. Apparently there are 3 different types, but I couldn't hear the difference. What sound do you make when you hit your funny elbow besides a yell? I don't know. My priorities over the last year, says Melissa, were to read from my bookshelf. Second priority was reading months and initiatives. So like Booktube Prize or readathons, which I always find a lot of fun. Yeah. Um, Same, Maggie. I read in so many genres. Genre slut. Get the mug. Yeah, book exchange with locals, little free libraries. Although if you don't have a library, you probably are not around a lot of population that would have little free libraries. But good idea. There should be a county library, and if far away, I think you could still check out ebooks. That's true. That's true. You pay taxes into a system, you got to have access to some library, right? I would think. Some libraries allow you to get membership no matter where you live, which opens options for ebooks as well. Yes, and actually I saw a meme going around last week that was from the Libby app on Instagram that said something about it's that meme where it's like this little puppet character with the side eye, and it said, "When you find out that you can have more than one library membership," and it's like, oh, yeah. Sometimes it's free and sometimes it's a paid option. Like I think Brooklyn's is paid option last time I checked, like 12 years ago. Eva says, "Unsure how that works internationally with access, though. Yeah, it will vary depending on the system." Kappa says, "I'm in Mexico. If you know a library that would allow me to e-borrow, hit me up. I'm not American." I can't pin this afterwards, but I may include this in my pinned comment if I can remember this. This is a good question. I'll star it just to remind myself a little bit more. Okay, so to finish my metrics for the priorities, I put owned TBR, which means don't buy new books, don't go to the library, like look at what is on your shelf and sort of in waves and constant sort of culling motion. See if you're going to read it, and if you're not, let it go. Let someone else read it, and if you are, why not this month? So try to read what you own. Then we've got author diversity, so that means BIPOC author, and I haven't distinguished here Black, Indigenous, person of color, so any of the groups that are not white, basically. And we'll see how I did on that, and then we'll see about evaluating these goals and whether they should be updated or amended, and I'm gonna get your opinion on that, at the end of the talk today. Then I have nonfiction. I mean, I don't really need this one. I did 100% nonfiction, in 2022 and 92% in 2023, so, like, it's not something I really need reminding, so again, maybe I will be changing this. And then finally, Indie Pub, and we'll see how I did on that one. So basically, this was because I'm an Indie Pub, self-pub person, author, person of interest, and so I thought it's only fair that I, like, also read, besides, like, the high flyers that everyone's talking about or the things in my genre that are coming out hot on the top of the list, like the people who I'm working with and other folks who are writing in the genre. Historical fiction isn't very popular in self-pub, but other folks that are working in my space here on AuthorTube especially. So that has been like a target goal as well. So I'm gonna stop leaning to the side because this is pretty uncomfortable. Okay. And proceed with my report card now. So it's the 10th of December. It's my friend Monica's birthday today. And as of today, I have read 125 books this year. I expect to read about 6 more in the remaining 3 weeks of the year to bring it to about 131 total, which is an average of 11 books per month, which sounds kind of high to me. So there must be a few months where I just like read a whole bunch, and then usually it's like 8, I think. Like I said, I looked at my DNFs and it's not 28. That's a lifetime. It's like 6-ish. So if you take that into account, it's like I tried to read 137-ish books, which is almost a gross. And I kind of like that as a 144 is like round fun number. I like 42. So then I didn't mean to do this, but I have my 2022 and 2023 planners out, and I'm doing one of those like year-end reviews to sort of like reflect on things, and that's why I have them out. And when I picked up one to look at my reading goals per month, I picked up the old one, the 2022 one, which I've already reported out on, and so I just went with it and wrote the 2023 ones underneath. So what I did here is go down the months on the side and down the goals in each column. And as you can see, the boxes are didn't make it and the check marks are did make it. So here we go with my metrics. The research category. So this year it was somewhat depressed. It's 66%, which is a D. And when I was going to school, that was not a passing grade in my Catholic high school. So, yeah, that's not great. But I'm gonna explain this. I've got explanations and excuses in my notes for today's stream. And I will say I was sort of having a writing career flail. So I had a little bit of a crisis of confidence, sort of ebb and flow this year. And so that is kind of what was feeding into the reading research books and then dropping off, and then reading research books and dropping off. So that's the explanation / excuse for that. And also, as Melissa was pointing out with the readathons, sometimes that just kicks out some of the other goals, and you just have to like do this one time and then do that another time. So January I was focused on I don't know what I was focused on in January. That's a long time ago. In June, let's see, it was Pride. I wasn't doing Home on the Range. And November, I know that was just last month. I was doing Indigathon, so like I was focusing on the readathon reads instead of research, and that's fine because I like to sort of on again, off again, task switch to keep myself productive. So that's okay with me. The ebook one, 83%. So that's a B. That's fine. That's what I would get in math in high school. And similar months. So no ebook in March when I was doing the Irish readathon. I'm trying to clean out my shelves. No ebook in June. Maybe June was just a lower number. No ebook in November, again, because of Indigathon. So again, not my favorite format. So it's likely that I'll have time for ebooks when I'm doing specific activities or when things are not as busy, and the general reading is higher. Audiobooks. So what's weird is 2022, I got a 75% in audiobooks, which is a C. And that's weird. This year, it's 92%. So let's see. May of the Moderns. Didn't I listen to Crock of Gold? There's always room for error, teacher error when grading. I guess that's what this is. Oh, no, that's 2022. That's purple. That's why. Okay. So July, there was no audiobook, and that's it. There's only one. Okay. So audiobooks, I read sometimes more than one in a month because I listen to audiobooks when I walk, and I walk almost every day, and that keeps me healthy. And audiobooks are basically the only way that I won't read new releases because that's what you get for ARCs, unless they're indie pub or from the library. So when I'm mixing in like owned books with new releases, I prefer to do backlist books because I'm the queen of books you've never heard of. But when I get new releases, they're either audiobooks or from the library. Okay, let me catch up with the chat because there's a few comments here. Where did I leave off? Eva says, in Mexico in a border town, I could maybe arrange an underground book route. I like that. Yeah. We got some fans for that. I'm so excited for end of the year stats next year. Okay. One of my reads is a middle grade nonfiction Black female author, historical, paperback owned. Ooh, is that the Moon? No, is that the Moon one that we talked about? That I have that on my list to read. And that one hit a lot of fun boxes. And she says, holy heckin', nice reading. Maybe that's just a number. Shannon's looking up Mexico Public Library, but don't know if they have ebooks. Okay. Probably very limited selection of books in English, but I'll check it out and pass the info on to my stepson. Nice. Whole page of U.S. libraries that offer non-resident library cards, so cost money, but a couple were free. So Shannon's doing the research for you, Cat Paw. That's nice. Cool. Yep. Nice improvement. Very good. And we've got random. Yep. Okay. So audiobooks is where we left off. Then I've got owned. So the goal is actually for 66% of the reading, like a majority, to be from my shelves so that I can like clear out more books. But if you're a card carrying, pin wearing book nerd, you know that the struggle is real. Books just find you and make their way to your house, and I don't even know how they get here. So there seems to be a stasis in this apartment, this 2-room apartment. Well, 2 and a bathroom, right? Bedroom, living room, kitchen, and bathroom. And I can't seem to move books out. I don't know what it is, but 92%. I didn't get technical with the like how much was owned instead. But the one that I missed this year was because I read so little in November and it was all for Indigathon. They were all new releases. They were all audiobooks or library books. There were only 6. So one was not. That's a 5. and one I bought specifically from Canada. So that was like a splurge. So that was the only time I didn't read a book that I owned on the shelf in a whole month, which is kind of mind-boggling. But yeah, so 92%. BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, Person of Color, is the author. That is actually 100% for 2 years in a row. It's just one per month. It's not a very hard goal. And like I said, I may need to amend this to get like more diversity, if that makes sense. But I'll address that in a second. Then we've got nonfiction. And again, I think I've only missed one, and that was in June of this year. I didn't read a nonfiction, which is strange. But yeah, lots of great nonfiction new releases that I listened to on audiobook. And then finally, Indie Pub. So I've got a little bit of improvement. 2022, I was at 75%, and 2023, I'm at 83%. So like I notched it up a bit, but I've still missed a couple ones. But I think that's pretty good. Based on like genre matching, I think a lot of Indie Pub is going to be fantasy romance, is going to be sci-fi, is going to be cozy mystery, is going to be horror. I'm just thinking of the people I know on AuthorTube, and like I read in some of those genres, but not usually. So like that's part of my diversifying. I'll try something and be like, nah, that's not really my thing. So okay, so that's the report card. I mean, that's an A minus, B plus. I'll probably give myself a B plus again. Any more explanation or excuses? Yes, for ebooks. So for ebooks, no, I can't. Page again. For ebooks, it was 83%, and I had screen eyes. I don't like looking at the screen with my eyes because I do that all day anyway. Device wrists. So when you're reading an ebook, whether it's on an iPad or a phone, especially the phone, like my pinkies go numb holding it for some reason. And like, I think it's probably related to the wrists, so I don't want to put extra strain. So that's like a no. Plus, flat words equals no magic. I just don't like looking at words on the screen as much as I like looking at words on a page. Even if they're not in color, they still feel like they have more magic if they're printed on a page. Feel me? Feel me? So yeah. And then the owned explanation for having one where I didn't read a whole month. It was a low rating month, and the readathon priorities came first. Yeah. Okay. So much for the report cards. The next piece is evaluating the goals. So let me change the question and pop this up again. Help me out here. So what would you change in my goals tracking? I mean, we've got mood reading, which isn't really a goal to track. But I've got some ideas of like spitballed ideas, and I haven't decided to do any of these, but I'm wondering what your opinions are on these as goals. So I do keep track of like the source. Well, I did up until October. And then when I switched to this planner, there's not enough pages in here for me to do a page of the reads. So I'm just using Storygraph, which is little hurting. But yeah, so I'm just using a digital one. I'm not sure if that will remain the case. But previously on Law and Order, I recorded where I got the book. If it was library, I still record it in Storygraph. If it's a loan from a person, a friend, I record that for sure. If it's from a specific bookstore that I'll probably go back to, I record that so that I can go back and tell them this was a great recommendation. That makes me happy. If it's Libro, I'll tag it with Libro because I want to shout them out every time I appreciate a book from them, etc. So the source I record and I track, but I don't make it a goal so far. I don't know if that's worthwhile tracking. And then I've got, what about neurodivergent characters, themes, or authors? So this is definitely something that has become something that people point out in terms of you would like to read this book because it has really good neurodivergent representation. And so that hasn't been on my radar except in the past couple of years, mostly because of my experience with folks on YouTube. So I'm wondering, should I try out more of that? There's a whole bunch of different ways to satisfy that criterion. Um, and is that something that I should consider? I mean, I can only have so many goals before I just start ignoring it because it's overwhelming, but that was an interesting one. And then I've also thought about disability rep. So I hear people talking about disability representation. There's a whole readathon about it. I think it's September, October. Kendra Winchester is the gal who's associated with the magazine I work for. And she does a readathon based on, actually, she helps with the translation readathon, but she also does disability readathon. And so like talking about different ways people interact with the world, different struggles that people have based on disabilities could be really valuable. But it might be harder to figure out how to choose books with that because no one is consistently writing that in the blurbs or the back copy. So that might be a big headache, and I might have to find a good source to like locate books like that. Gender of the author. I think I probably read a wide majority women authors over men. I think some of my nonfiction will be men, journalists especially, but like most of my fiction authors are women. I'm like, is that worth tracking and like making sure it's even, or trying to include books by non-binary folks? Like, I wonder about that. So what do you think? Country, nationality of the author. So like trying to read around the world and get more diverse viewpoints. I know that Scallydandling About the Books does this, and several others have goals based on reading countries where it can become hard to find books from there, right? So like Malawi, for example, if you're going to find an author from there who is translated to English, who has a book in print, et cetera, like all these ways that books are accessible, it might get harder and harder. Roz has actually got a every country in the world goal, which is multi-year planning. But how would I do that if I didn't want to do that goal exactly with a monthly tracker? So continent? I don't know. I haven't thought about that. And then breakout nonfiction categories. Do I want to subdivide nonfiction into, well, what if I should read more science and I want to like improve the science, like fiber in my diet? Or what if I want to read more, what are the other things in nonfiction that might be a good goal? I don't know. Anyway, this is the part I didn't think through. These are just spitballing ideas. And then, like I mentioned before, breaking out BIPOC authors' identities. This can also be tricky to find because sometimes I will hear an author talk about their background having a certain ethnicity as part of their makeup. And so, for example, I will hear someone say that they have Latinx heritage. And so they felt really called to write this story, but then it's not in their name, like their author name, obviously, in an obvious manner, I mean, or in their bio because they don't want to call attention to it. And so it's kind of like, well, how intrusive do you get to try to figure out if you're reading a Hispanic, Latinx author or an Asian author or etc., right? So what's the line between I'm trying to read different experiences versus I'm getting caught up in ticking boxes, right? So there's like a line there you need to find, which is different for every person. Excuse me for a second. I need to catch up in the chat, but I've only got one more spitballed idea, which is what about poetry? Poetry is neither fiction nor nonfiction. What about plays? I was for a while doing like one new Shakespeare play. Thank you, Jeremy Fee, to I think Shakespeare April. I can't remember which one it was, but I had like 4 or 5 that no one was reading at my parents' house, so I took them and I thought I'll chip away at these, and I think I still got 2 left, but um, they're not as fun to read on your own. So unless it's a buddy read, I'm kind of like backlist plays, not doing it for me. So let me return to the chat, and then I have a final final question for everybody. But let's see if anyone has answers to this one. Wait. Oh, I don't know what that is about, but I think this is where I left off. So Adeshile writes, dropping in to say hi and smash the like button. Yes. First bot we've seen in a while. Yeah. Do you intentionally read translated books? Could be an option to add. Yes. So I do that, but as part of a readathon, not as a per month goal. So August is Women in Translation. Again, there's a gender imbalance there. And the books that I have by men that are translated just sort of don't have a home. So yes, I do try to read. I think I read 2 or 3 this past August. That's the one that Kendra Winchester leads and I knew about before I even knew that she was associated with the magazine, which is pretty cool. So yeah, but I leave it for August because there's a readathon for that. Yes, see, Shannon knows. Hi, Richard. Eva says, I'd grade you on a curve, so you'd end up with 100%. Well, thank you. Not really bothered about the authors, just that they write good books. Richard, you might want to rewind and listen to the metrics that I went over earlier about my priorities, because now I'm just throwing out the possible changes, and that's when I got into differences of authors. Yes, and we already talked about people who are mood readers, so you're definitely in that camp. You are welcome among this crowd for sure. Pat says, keep an eye on Europa editions. I found some great reads there. European languages translated into English. Yes, Europa editions. I can picture the imprint. They have beautiful covers. I can tell you, or I can agree with you. I don't often find those in used bookstores that I frequent, so I will keep my eye out. But yeah, they're harder to find. That's why the rest of us pointed out that we do more. Yeah, not to be commonplace. Paper is better than screens. I agree, Richard. Paper is king, but ebooks need to postage and packing added. Needs. Oh, I'm not sure whether this means ebooks can't compete because print can't compete because ebooks don't have postage and packing. I think that's what it might mean. Eva says ebooks are more cost effective for brand new books, sorry. Also for accessibility in general. Yes. Eva says, I buy physical books secondhand. I have many books that I have not read. Witness the world around me. Yes. Richard says, Storygraph is in hot water allegedly for creating AI summaries of books from blurbs, presumably. I hadn't heard that. I would have thought that they're importing their summaries of books, which is copy paste, not AI. I did not know this. It's promotional material, so I don't know that it would bother me. I don't have a problem with it myself. It's using publicly available stuff if it's using the blurb as a prompt. Yeah, I don't consider that thinking for itself. Yeah. Okay. Eva says, Bethany's Scrawls and Scribbles says, a short story collection by Bethany Vota is a good fit for those who enjoy a thrilling and unsettling journey into the unknown with a focus on the supernatural. and the uncomfortable realities that lurk beneath the surface. See, that just sounds like marketing language, which sounds like AI to me anyway. So Richard says, too many goals is a bit restrictive. Reading fiction should overarchingly be fun. And I believe that is what I led with. Yes. It's supposed to be a leisure activity. I don't believe I use the term trustworthy. I'm saying that is the case as it is this year. Nia says, could do combo of author with disabilities and stories including disabilities. That would probably give me a wider field for like hitting that mark. I like that idea, Nia. Richard's being facetious. Okay. What's the term? Tu m'étonnes. You surprise me in the French way with that like sarcasm. Yes, order can be fun. Totally. Yes. Oh, and you can rewind to the part where I say why I read diversely. Catch up. A noble endeavor. Poetry. Oh, goodness. Books by decade. So would this be published in different decades or set in different decades, Maggie? Because when I'm looking for research books for comparable books, I'm looking for set in the time period, right? I don't often read books written. I started out doing that and it was not at all helpful, or like very little helpful. So yeah. Or books the year of your birth. Yeah, not thrilling me, Maggie. But Richard likes it. Eva likes it. Shannon says, I've seen a video this year by a booktuber, I think, who got caught up in hitting all these goals that they stopped enjoying the reads. I think this could be analogous to some writers who find striving for word counts becomes a detriment to their love for writing. Yeah, that's a good parallel. I think that's probably, yeah, pretty true. Thank you, Richard. Yes, we hit 1K, and that is pertinent to my final question, which I'll get to in just a moment. Hey, Emma. I actually hit 1,000 subscribers on Wednesday. No postage added. Yeah, that's what I just started seeing, is that there's some AI option under the plus, which I don't have premium, so best selling in different decades. Yeah. You should make a case for it. Somebody else should do their own video. I think that would be fun. Sure you will, Richard. Yes. Shannon says, I was so off. I kept thinking we were talking about you hitting 1K and it was Friday. Days are smushing together. This is what happens with sleep deprivation. Yeah. All right. Well, I liked Nia's idea for disability. I think that's the only one I'm going to take away and actually consider. But if you're watching this after on the replay, feel free to drop your comments about what you think I should change in terms of my goals. The final question today is, because I just hit 1K, which stands for 1,000, I'm going to be having a Q&A session. And because I've already planned my videos for December and I don't have extra room to do more videos, I'm going to combine my StoryGraph stats report out on Christmas Eve with my 1K Q&A. So that gives people some time to submit. This morning, I went on all my platforms and asked for questions. So find me on Facebook, on my YouTube community tab, on Instagram, or on my Twitter, wherever you like to lurk, and send in those questions. Lauren and Nicole already got the first 2 questions, so that's awesome. and anything bookish. So whether it's writing related or reading related, the field is open wide. Um, and I will intersperse those with the stats from Storygraph from my year of reading on Christmas Eve. That is a Sunday, and my normal Sunday time, as today, is noon Pacific. So hopefully that's a good time for most of the audience to tune in and doesn't encroach on Christmas Eve plans, because you don't want to, get all up in your family business. So, like I said, submit a question, any platform. I will be putting them all in Notion to keep track, and I will be, attributing them to your name. So like, I won't anonymize it if that worries you or excites you. Either way, I just wanted you to know. So send in those questions, and I'll probably have a little longer live stream than normal on Christmas Eve at noon my time. So that is the fun news for today. And we've got lots of other videos planned for December. Like I said, it's already all planned out. And I'm excited to get your questions and, I don't know, probably laugh. I have also offered, if anyone wants to be a guest on that stream and just come on to chat for a bit, shoot me a message, and I will be happy to have several people come on and off and make a little appearance for Christmas Eve. I thought what would be funny is if it was kind of like you're coming to Santa and you can tell me what you want for Christmas. I can sit on my lap, my virtual lap. So yeah, so that'll be fun. And that's going to be my way to celebrate. Just pretty simple. The decades thing just doesn't work for me. And Eva, I don't think I can't remember which suggestions. I'll go back when I'm able to like go back and reread. But Nia's is the only one I like remember. Maggie says, excited for that. Open wide. Idea. Books written by different age authors. Oh, see, that's a good one that wasn't even on my list. I'm still blown away by one author we had on the podcast who was only 14 when she published her first book. But this could take a lot of time to find. Yeah. I had Heather Gregg recently on for a fireside chat. She's a Scottish booktuber, and she did the bookish hot or not tag, and she said children's literature and young adult literature. She was like, not, because I really value older people's experiences, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. And I was like, valid. Sometimes you have to tilt the other way because the mainstream is over there, and like that's not what you care about. So totally valid. I like that. Christmas Eve for me is about 15 minutes. Okay. Sounds cozy. Come sit on Margaret for Christmas. Working title. That's a good title. I might have to steal that. I will credit you, Just Eva. But Shannon says, I don't know about that title. Oh, you guys are funny. And Maggie says, I have noticed that books in the same genre but published in different decades feel ever different, even if they are by the same author. Well, the author should evolve, right? And over a long career. So I definitely think that's a good thing. Yeah. This just makes me think of Rosamund Pilcher, whose books I love to read, and who's the other one I don't love, but like I enjoy, kind of like a guilty pleasure, Phyllis Wheatley's. Like they're from the 40s to the 60s to the 80s, and they're definitely outdated in a lot of things, but they have like a good nugget of self-discovery or romantic love, and like it's satisfying, but you also have your cringy moments. Hey, they're what's in the used bookstores, man. No, don't credit me. Yeah. Seeing some of our crowd, you're right. Perhaps I should stay away from that. Oh, and I'm making a lot of bots who are looking for a good time. True enough. Okay, I guess I'll stay away from that. Oh, so that is our power hour. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that's already an hour. That is our book stream for Sunday. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you're new here. Put down in the comments your recommendations for what I should change about my reading goals that I track, or tell me about yours. And until next time, happy reading. Take care of yourselves. Self care is good. Hydrate. Take care of yourselves this holiday season. All right, guys. Talk to you again soon. Bye.